and share this link. All right. Hopefully this new link reaches people. I apologize, everybody. Not a single clue what happened there. I didn't change my setup at all. I didn't change nothing changed as far as my setup. I'm not really sure what happened there. That's just technology being a bitch. My apologies. Sorry to anybody who still had a question that was outstanding. I will get to those. Now. I obviously just repost your question. I apologize if anything is out of order. I'll try to move a little quicker in this stream. If you would prefer any expanded thoughts after I'm done answering your question, just let me know, and I'm happy to take it. But obviously, people are going to have their questions asked out of order, and folks who are waiting a while, I do apologize. Not sure what happened there. But hopefully everybody's able to still find this new link, this new stream, and we'll get those questions answered. I'll be here as long as you guys need me to be, assuming that the technology holds up. Okay. I'm just gonna fire it off. I'm gonna continue to answer these questions. And hopefully folks are able to find this new link. Kincaid and J.K. Dobbins for Chubb and Kelsey. I would rather have Kincaid and Dobbins. Kelsey has come to life in the past couple of weeks and has been better than Kincaid, but Dobbins is the healthy running back right now. Chubb is the question mark. Chubb's a massive question mark rest of season. I'll take the healthy running back, and that's Dobbins. I'm going to see if there might be questions. I wonder if I can access the live chat. From my old stream, and I can try to simultaneously. No, it doesn't look like I have access to the live chat after the stream ends. That's frustrating. Hopefully everybody's able to find this. And again, I apologize to everybody who had to endure my technical difficulties. My bad. That's on me. So however long you guys need me here for, I got you. I would keep Kincaid and Dobbins for the simple fact that Dobbins is the guy that I have fewer questions about from an injury perspective than Chubb. So I would prefer Kincaid and Dobbins, which looks crazy on paper when you consider the names involved, but that's where I'm at. Who to start in the flex? Jamison Williams, Ladd McConkey, George Pickens, Jalen Tolbert. I would probably say Pickens because we're talking about him at his floor right now. And I do think that he's going to get more involved tomorrow. The Steelers need him on the field for them to have a better chance to score points and win games. And he didn't play as much because of, I don't know, in-house issues, whatever, off-field stuff. Is he a headache or whatever's going on? But they didn't play him as much as he didn't have a full-time role, and they lost the game. Maybe they would have scored a couple more points if he was regularly on the field. We're talking about George Pickens at his floor. I think I would go back to him. I would go back to him and play Pickens. I like J-Mo, but he's a little hit or miss. Ladd should be fine as a floor play, but it's not a great matchup. Tolbert is in a really good spot. But Pickens is the clear-cut wide receiver one for the Steelers and will command the wide receiver one target share, whereas Tolbert is the Cowboys wide receiver 2. I'll say Pickens. Odunze or Tolbert for the flex. Both are in really good spots. Both are in really good spots. But with Keenan Allen healthy, Odunze has struggled. So I actually do think I'll say Tolbert over. I like Odunze a lot tomorrow in a great matchup, but Tolbert's in a decent one as well. And I don't have Keenan Allen questions as it pertains to Jalen Tolbert. I do with Odunze. So I'll say Tolbert. Amari Cooper or Antonio Gibson in half PPR. I don't think this was the issue, but I wonder if my issue was that I was pinning messages. Maybe I'll try to unpin messages and maybe that'll keep things moving. I'm not sure. We'll see. Amari Cooper or Antonio Gibson in half PPR. Cooper's hard to trust right now with how badly Deshaun Watson is playing. Gibson's going to see all the bulk of touches tomorrow. I'll say Gibson with no Ramondre Stevenson. I want to believe in Amari Cooper, but I don't believe in Deshaun Watson, and I don't believe in the Cleveland Browns right now in general. So I'll say Gibson for the volume. I'll say Gibson for the volume. Yep. And apologies again. I hate when technology just freaking just stops working for you. And you're like, I'm just sitting here doing nothing. I'm not messing with it, but it still gets borked out of nowhere. So apologies for the inconvenience. I'm hoping folks that had outstanding questions are able to find their way over here. That's just technology for you. Rank your team. And I'm going to maybe the pin. I don't know if the pins are doing anything. Maybe I'll try to stop doing that. I don't know if that slows the chat down at all. You have Cousins at quarterback. You have Bucky and Jacobs at running back for this week. That's good. I like that quite a bit. Ayuk has been frustrating. He had a good week last week, but a bad one Thursday night. DJ Moore looks like he's coming on strong. Komet is up and down, especially with Keenan Allen back. Slayton, good. J-Mo, solid. You have Caleb on your bench, and you have Cousins in there now. I might play Caleb over Cousins. I might play Caleb over Cousins. He's got Jacksonville. Jacksonville stinks on defense. And they might stink on offense too. They stink on defense. Caleb had a really good game last week. He keep the good momentum rolling in a great matchup. And you have DJ Moore, so you can stack. I would play Caleb over Kirk. Everything else looks fine. But I would play Caleb over Kirk. You can stack him with DJ Moore, and he's in a great matchup. Cousins is in a solid matchup as well, but you can complete the stack with Caleb and DJ Moore. Keep Cousins in if you believe in Cousins. That's totally fine. But I think I would lean Caleb, especially since you can stack it up with DJ Moore. I think I lean Caleb over Cousins, but everything else looks good. Full PPR, Bigsby, ETN, Brian Thomas, or Odunze. I'll take Brian Thomas because that eliminates you having to worry about Bigsby versus ETN and which one does well versus which one doesn't. You can avoid that headache and just play Brian Thomas, who is a stud. He's good. Brian Thomas is just freaking good. I like Odunze, but he hasn't hit yet this year with Keenan Allen in the lineup. and Keenan Allen's back in the lineup. Give me Brian Thomas. He's the Jacksonville Jaguars wide receiver 1. It's not Christian Kirk anymore. It's Brian Thomas. I'll say Brian Thomas, especially in full PPR. That favors the wide receiver. Yeah, give me Brian Thomas. You were thinking Tolbert as well. Yeah, glad you feel that way. Appreciate everybody for taking the time, hanging out, being patient with me, moving through these questions. And I can often take some time. And again, with the audio issues, sorry about that. Don't know what happened. The microphone was plugged in and then it just stopped working. Don't know what the hell happened there. But hopefully that all helps. And who plays the Bears? Who plays the Bears? Well, Trevor Lawrence will play the Bears. Caleb Williams is, if we're talking about Caleb Williams is playing the Jaguars. He's playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. That is one of the most favorable matchups for opposing quarterbacks in the NFL. The Panthers are a good one as well. But I don't know. I want to believe in Caleb. He can add more on the ground for you than Kirk Cousins can. Obviously, Cousins is a more polished passer, but Caleb flashed his talents last week, and he can run. Oh, Brian Thomas. No, I'm not worried about that. Brian Thomas is just good. Brian Thomas is just good. I'm fine with him. I'm fine with Brian Thomas. I'm not worried about the matchup at this point with him. He's showing out. Damn good player. Good job, Jacksonville. They did get one thing right for 2024. They drafted Brian Thomas. Hutchinson, McNichols, or Engram as the flex. Oh man. In full PPR, McNichols has a brutal matchup against the Ravens, but he's going to get more opportunity with Brian Robinson out. Hutchinson, I think, is a stash and wait. I just don't think we can fire him up yet. And it's not a great matchup by the numbers. It's an okay matchup by the numbers, but it's not a great matchup by the numbers. And then Engram, who I don't even know if we can trust at this point. And I don't want to play 2 tight ends. Just as a rule of thumb, Engram might be the safest option of these 3 guys. I just don't want to play 2 tight ends. He's obviously not your starting tight end because he's, it's a question for your flex. I just don't want to play 2 tight ends. I guess then in that case, I might say Hutchinson here because it's full PPR and he's at least a wide receiver. McNichols will get more work, but it's a bad matchup against the Ravens. Yeah, I guess Hutchinson. I don't feel great about that, but McNichols is the guy he's going to be the runner for Washington in a really bad matchup. And Engram, first game back, multi-week absence, and I don't really want to. I would play Engram if he was just my tight end, and that's my choice, that's my option. But I don't want to play him if I have another tight end. I just don't want to play 2 tight ends. I just don't. I'll say Hutchinson in full PPR. And hope for the best. Just hope for the best. Interesting factoids. Appreciate that. Appreciate the kind words. I do have a full-time job, and that is not my passion. But yeah, no, I enjoy the time spent on these weekends. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming in today. And best of luck tomorrow. Will not be live tomorrow for the London game, but if you guys do need me for any additional thoughts on anything, I will be available in Discord throughout the morning. Second link in the description of this stream and all the videos and streams on the channel. It's an evergreen invite. Do I like Bucky Irving this week? Hell yeah, I like Bucky Irving this week. I like Bucky Irving more than every running back other than maybe like 7 or 8 names. Bucky Irving's a low-end RB1, high-end RB2 this week, and we are getting him into our lineup. Yes, I like Bucky Irving this week quite a bit. Get him into your lineup. Unless you started Walker Thursday night and you've got Saquon and you've got Kamara, which I guess is totally possible, then I want to get Bucky Irving in my lineup. Yep. Like him quite a bit. I agree that London games can be weird. And it's definitely like dicey. They're not on their home turf. They're not in their own country, right? It's definitely adds a weird wrench. But ultimately, I need to pick, ultimately I got to pick the guys that I believe in regardless of all those other factors. I just got to rock with the good matchups, the favorable matchups. That's going to be, ultimately like what the deciding factor is. The talent, the matchup, all that stuff. I get not wanting to play players in international games, but sometimes the matchup is too good to be true because it works both ways. What if what if like players not playing well continue to play worse? So I'm okay with Caleb, even though it is volatile being in London. Start Tyrone Tracy or Antonio Gibson at RB2. I like them both. Allen at quarterback, Montgomery, Gibson or Tracy, AJ, Ayuk, Kittle, Deontay. And in full PPR, I'm fine with those other options. In full PPR, Gibson's got Houston and is in the worst offense. Tracy is in a great matchup and has the backfield to himself. I'll say Tracy. I'll take Tracy over Gibson. I like Gibson from an opportunity perspective, but Tracy's going to expect similar opportunities, and he's in the way better matchup, and he's in the better offense. The Giants' offense is better than the Patriots' offense, especially with Drake May making his first career start. A lot of question marks there. We believe in Drake May, 3rd overall pick. You expect him to do well, but in this offense, with that offensive line, first career start, could be rough sledding. I'll take Tracy over Gibson. Hi, Bobby. Appreciate that. Appreciate the super. Thank you so much. Feel bad with all the audio technical issues, but I appreciate the support of the channel very much. We're picking 4 in full PPR. 1 running back, 2 wide receivers in the flex. Bijan, Jacobs, Garrett Wilson, Jaden Reed, Terry McLeod. These are all really good options. You have to play Bijan against Carolina. Your 2 wide receivers. Jaden Reed is a stud. And I think I would go. Garrett Wilson showed signs of life last week. I think I would go him over Terry McLaurin, and I would definitely go Jaden Reed. Your 2 wide receivers are Garrett Wilson and Jaden Reed. Your flex is tough. Because I like Jacobs. I like McLaurin. I like Wan'Dale Robinson. Jacobs, McLaurin, Wan'Dale. Wan'Dale might be the play here in full PPR. He's going to get he's going to get like 1 million targets again. I don't want to sit Jacobs, but in full PPR, you have to play Bijan. You have to play Garrett Wilson. You have to play Jaden Reed. I think I would go. I can't believe I'm saying this. I would go Wan'Dale. I would go Wandale over Terry McLaurin and over Josh Jacobs because Malik Neighbors is out. Wandale gets top 5, was 5th in the NFL in targets with Malik Neighbors. He should get another 9 or 10 in a great matchup against Cincinnati on Sunday night. Yeah, Wandale. McLaurin's in a good matchup too. Jacobs is as well. I'll take Wandale. Holy hell. That's where we're at. Wandale was 5th in the NFL in targets with Malik Neighbors playing. Now Neighbors is out for a second straight week. I mean, yeah, he's going to get another 10 targets. You have good options, Bobby. I would tell your commissioner to expand your starting lineup so you can play more of these guys. But as long as Neighbors is out, Wandale needs to be in your starting lineup. Yep. Bijan, Wilson, Jaden Reed, Wandale Robinson. Thank you for the super, Bobby. Hello from England. Welcome in, as always. Appreciate the support, as always. And best of luck tomorrow. Let's see. Where are we at? I got the Tyron Tracy versus Antonio Gibbs question. Tough question in your opinion. Full PPR start 1. Marvin Harrison, Darnell Mooney, or Terry McLaurin? Yeah, I mean, all good options. We want to believe in Harrison, but it's been up and down for him. Terry's been good, and it's a really good matchup. And then Darnell Mooney has been also good matchup, and he's been awesome, especially over the past couple of weeks. This is a difficult question. I like all of these guys. I might ride the wave and go with and just keep it rolling with Terry. I need to double check this. I don't want to pull up another tab on my desktop, or in case the stupid thing craps out again with my technical issues. So I'm going to check on Sleeper on my app. I mean, Terry half PPR points the last 3 weeks: 11.4, 14.7, and 18. Obviously better in full PPR. Harrison has the capability of putting up those numbers. He's probably going to see Jair Alexander tomorrow, right? There's nothing. Jair Alexander's playing, right? He's not on the injury report for any reason. Nope. Oh, he is. He's questionable, but he could. Oh, that's right. He could return. He did miss last week. That's a really good spot. I think I'll say Terry. I think he's been the most consistent, especially over the past month. Mooney went nuclear last week, but outside of that has been good, but not like insanely good. He was the wide receiver 3 week 5. He was the wide receiver 51 week 4. So like that just tells you his variance. I'll say Terry McLaurin. I think he's the steadiest option of these 3, and it's a good matchup by the numbers. You can't run on Baltimore, but you can throw on Baltimore. Give me Terry. Give me Terry. Catching passes from Jaden Daniels, playing well. Marvin Harrison is good, but he's been up and down. And so is I'll say Terry McLaurin. That is difficult. They're all good options. They're all solid options. I'll take Terry. Do we trust Bijan Robinson or Tank Dell? We trust Bijan Robinson. I'll pin these messages until I see that it's causing any type of delays or lags. Hopefully there aren't any. And thank you everybody again for navigating my tech issues and hopefully finding this other stream. Hopefully I can get your questions answered if they weren't answered on the other one. Yeah, we trust Bijan Robinson. He's playing the Carolina Panthers. This is the time for Bijan to get right. This is a smash spot. You're firing up Bijan. Tank, expanded opportunity coming in all likelihood with Nico Collins on injured reserve, but he hasn't been himself this year. We haven't seen a Tank Dell game yet. And I'd be curious to see. I'd be curious to know if we will see a good Tank Dell game consistently this year as he's working his way back from the broken leg. Give me Bijan against the Carolina Panthers. This is a spot where Bijan should smash. You got to start him. Got to play him. Start Zay Flowers or Wandale. Wandale's killing it right now. Wandale has been killing it from like a targets earned perspective with Malik Neighbors in the lineup. Malik Neighbors is out for the second straight week. We're looking at another 10 targets for Wandale Robinson, and this matchup is a beauty. He's going against the Cincinnati Bengals. You want to start your players against the Cincinnati Bengals defense. This week, that's Wandale. Flowers is in a good matchup as well. But Wandale, again, 5th in the NFL in targets with a healthy Malik Neighbors. Now Neighbors is out. He's going to get at least 10 targets. Flowers could hit, or he could cede work to everybody else in that offense because it's dealer's choice. It's musical chairs for the Ravens. It could be Derrick Henry. It could be Justice Hill. It could be Isaiah Likely. It could be Rashad Bateman. It probably won't be Mark Andrews. It could be Charlie freaking Kolar. For the Giants, it's just Wandale and Darius Slayton. Yeah, start Wandale. Start Wandale. I am not married, but I do like to think that I'm a little married to. I'm married to my analysis of the game. But appreciate it. Appreciate the kind words. Better long-term. Which two are better long-term? Between Sermon, Tracy, Ty Chandler, Tyler Algier, Justice Hill. I like Justice Hill, especially in PPR. I like Algier because he's a regular even when Bijan is healthy and doing his thing. Trey Sermon is solid, but his usage depends on the availability of Jonathan Taylor, which right now is not a thing. He's out for the second straight week. Tyrone Tracy, again, dependent upon the health of Devin Singletary, but he could be forcing an expanded role for him, even if Singletary's healthy. Ty Chandler is a good football player, but I would probably put him 5th here because I think Aaron Jones avoided a long-term injury, and they're on their bye week, so this is a good time for him to get right. And I think it's fair to say we can expect Aaron Jones back sooner than later, just based on the latest information we have on Aaron Jones. I will say Justice Hill and Tyler Algier are my answers to this question because Hill is regularly involved as a pass catcher, even with a healthy Derrick Henry, and Tyler Algier is involved in the Falcons offense, even with a healthy Bijan. Trey Sermon is not viable when Taylor is healthy, although we'll see how long that lasts. Like Taylor out of the lineup. And Tracy, again, we would have to see what his workload looks like with a healthy Devin Singletary if and when that happens in the near future. We know that even with a healthy Derrick Henry and with a healthy Bijan, Justice Hill and Tyler Algier have roles. So I'll say those two. Darius Slayton, bottom 5 defense, or Christian Kirk, top 3 defense. Yeah, I mean, Slayton, Slayton. He's in a great matchup, and Kirk, he's been solid, but if Evan Ingram is coming back, that takes opportunities away from him. Yeah, I'll take Darius Slayton over Christian Kirk. Yeah. But appreciate the likes. Thank you so much. Appreciate the views, the likes. That helps the algorithm for me. I know I screwed some people with having some technical issues, and I apologize again for that. Hopefully folks are finding this new link. Sorry for having to make everybody wait just to have to find a new stream. Tech issues suck, but appreciate it. Appreciate the helping the algorithm. And I'm here for as long as you guys need me to answer these questions. But I'll take Slayton over Kirk. Yeah. Do you play McNichols or Slayton in your flex? We are playing Darius Slayton. That's what we're doing. We are playing Darius Slayton against the Cincinnati Bengals. You want to play your players against Cincinnati. Their defense is not good. Malik Neighbors is out. It is going to be the Wandale Robinson and Darius Slayton show for the New York Giants. And Tyrone Tracy as well. McNichols has the worst possible matchup you can have. The Baltimore Ravens run defense is the most difficult matchup by the numbers in the NFL through the first 5 weeks. I don't want to play McNichols if I have a guy like Darius Slayton to turn to. Darius Slayton. Playing Darius Slayton. And yeah, we feel better about Garrett Wilson, especially after last week. Tyrone Tracy or Cortland Sutton in full PPR. That's interesting. Sutton is coming on a little bit stronger recently, whereas Tracy again has his backfield to himself against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals defense is a defense that you want to target for fantasy purposes. I'll say with the backfield to himself, I'll say Tyrone Tracy. Great matchup against the Bengals. It's a good matchup for Cortland Sutton, but he's not getting great quarterback play right now. The Broncos are winning games, and that's all well and good, and Bo Nix is coming along. Good for him. But right now, that offense, sputters week to week. Tracy's going to get all the opportunities out of the backfield. I'll say Tracy over Sutton, even in full PPR. Give me the running back. Yeah, there you go. Well, there's a stat for you, Jason. Appreciate that. Wan'Dale, 1.2 PPR points per throw. They're just you just fire up Wan'Dale Robinson and you just don't think about it, especially in full PPR. If it's 6 catches for 35 yards and a touchdown, then so what? That's what it was last week. I'll take the 15 points. Hell yeah. Keenan Allen, Keon Coleman. What do we got here? You need 2 in the flex between Keenan Allen, Keon Coleman, David Njoku, Ladd McConkey, and Michael Pittman. Again, I would not drop Keon for Trey Tucker. They're both similar as far as expectations, but Keon's catching passes from Josh Allen. Trey Tucker's catching passes from Aiden O'Connell. Give me the guy catching passes from the better quarterback. Of these options, I struggle with what to do with Michael Pittman. I'm having a hard time charting him right now. Was injured, was recently expected to miss multiple weeks, was an IR candidate. Now he's going to try to play. I don't know what to do with him right now, admittedly. I don't have a good feeling on Pittman. Keenan Allen has been difficult to trust, but this is a great matchup against Jacksonville. McConkey avoids Patrick Surtain, so not a bad matchup for him. Coleman, again, I like, but it is a tough matchup. He's going to see Sauce Gardner in all likelihood. I don't want to play 2 tight ends, so if Njoku is a flex consideration, that means you already are starting another tight end somewhere else, which means I don't want to play a second tight end, so I don't really want to play Njoku. I'll take Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey here. I don't have a ton of confidence, but at least Allen has a beautiful matchup against Jacksonville, and McConkey should be fine as the slot receiver. He should avoid Patrick Surtain, so he should be able to come through with some catches in full PPR. I'll take McConkey and I'll take Keenan Allen. They're wide receiver 3 options with some decent matchups. Pittman, Kirk, Sermon, Najee, Dowdle need 2 flex and a running back. The running backs. All 3 running backs. Give me Trey Sermon, no Jonathan Taylor. It's not a good matchup, but he'll get volume. Give me Najee. It's a pretty good matchup. It's not a great matchup, but it's a decent matchup. And Jaylen Warren is returning, but it's his first game back, so he'll probably be eased in. Najee should continue to handle a decent amount of opportunities. And I'll take Rico Dowdle. He is the Cowboys' RB1. It's not a good matchup, but they're at home, and Dowdle delivered in a bad matchup last week against Pittsburgh. He had 80 rushing yards. He caught a touchdown. He had a great game in a brutal matchup on the road against the Steelers. He has another bad matchup this week against Detroit, but at least he's at home. And he's on a bit of a run right now. He had a good week in week 4 as well. Pittman, I got questions about. I don't know what the hell his status is. Again, earlier this week, it was reported Pittman is likely to miss multiple weeks with an injury. He was an injured reserve candidate. Now he's missing practice Wednesday, missing practice Thursday, logs a practice on Friday, and now he's questionable for the game. I don't know. I just don't trust that. I just don't trust that. And Kirk, he could be fine, but if Evan Ingram is active, he's going to lose opportunities to Evan Ingram. Yeah, I'll take the running backs. Sutton, Eckler, Madison, if White is out. Yeah, that's tough because I think Eckler plays a 1 o'clock game and Madison plays a 4:05 game, I believe. And if we don't know Zamir White's status, that makes it tough. And Madison has to play Pittsburgh. Tough matchup. Again, Rico Dowdle came through in that matchup last week. But it's still a bad matchup by the numbers. I also don't know the scoring here. I would say if it's full PPR, I would probably just try Sutton. If it's half PPR, yeah, that's tough because we are not going to know Zamir White's status before Eckler plays. I will say wait on Madison. And if Zamir White is ruled out, play Madison. Do they play at the same time? The Raiders and the Broncos? I'm double checking that right now. Sutton gets, he gets the Chargers tomorrow at 4:05. Madison gets the Steelers at 4:05. Eckler plays early, and I think I want to hold out on Madison if he's able to go because Eckler will cede work to Jeremy McNichols. He should be fine in full PPR, but it is not a great matchup by the numbers. I will say wait on Madison and play him if Zamir White is out. If Zamir White is active, then you can pivot to Sutton. And they play at the same time, so you're safe. Madison if Zamir White is out. Sutton if Zamir White goes. That's what I would do. Flex 2 in standard scoring. Ridley, Kirk, Wandale, Slayton. Fire up those Giants. Fire up the New York Giants. I would play Wandale and Slayton. One of them's bound to hit, and both might. We want to play our players against the Cincinnati Bengals. Their defense is struggling mightily right now. We want to get everybody in the lineup against Cincinnati. Kirk, tougher matchup against the Bears. Could be solid, but Evan Ingram is expected to return, and that will take opportunities away from Christian Kirk. And I like Calvin Ridley. He's talented as hell. Probably the most overall talented player of this group, but he catches passes from Will Levis. That sucks. Not that Daniel Jones is a world beater, but you can beat the Cincinnati Bengals. He's not a world beater, but he can beat the Bengals. At least on defense, putting up numbers for his wide receivers. Start those Giants. Start your Giants. Trade JSN for Laporta or Deontay for Laporta and Cooper. I would want to know who your starting tight end is. I don't really want to trade for Amari Cooper. While we're waiting, I mean, could it happen? Yeah, I guess, but we need Jameis Winston in there. And the Browns seem very reluctant to bench Deshaun Watson, probably because of the contract that they gave him, the pick, all the, the trade that they gave, the assets that they gave up to get him, the contract that they gave him. They probably feel their hands are tied, but Deshaun Watson is a broken quarterback. And him improving does not look like it's going to happen. Not at this point. We've now got about 2 seasons worth of games to go off of dating back to when he returned from his suspension in 2022. Well, I guess not. He missed a good amount of time last year due to the injury. But like, between all that plus the shoulder problems, he's got a shoulder injury. The hits are starting to pile up. Deshaun Watson is broken. I do not really want Amari Cooper right now. I want Amari Cooper if Jameis Winston gets in there, but they seem reluctant to go to Jameis Winston. So I don't really want to trade Deontay for Cooper and Laporte. It's a good trade on paper in theory, but who's your other tight end? Like, what tight end do you have now? You have Njoku. That hurts. That hurts. So you'd be acquiring a second Cleveland Brown. I don't really want that. Could you trade JSN and Njoku for Laporta and a lower end wide receiver option? Could you expand that trade to unload Njoku? Like, hey man, you're giving me Laporta. Here's Njoku back as like a thank you. And then include JSN and get a wide receiver back. I would want to expand that trade, but I don't want to trade Deontay, not for Laporta and Cooper. In a vacuum, a 2-for-1 trade is always great, but like Cooper is hamstrung right now by Watson's play, which is worst in the league bad. So I don't really want to do that. If you can trade JSN and Njoku for Laporta and another wide receiver, then I would be fine with that. So maybe try to expand the deal. You include Njoku, you include JSN, you get Laporta back. You're not going to probably get Cooper back in that trade. I guess you could try. But I would take a depth wide receiver. And then if you can make that happen, then I'm okay with it. Yeah, Aaron Jones is week to week, so it's fine to hang on to Ty Chandler. But I think the last I saw is that he avoided serious injury. So with the bye this week, it's possible he could return week 7. It's possible Ty Chandler gets the week 7 start. But this is an ideal time for Aaron Jones to have the bye week to get right from the I think it was a hip injury. And yeah, really quickly, interesting factoids. Yes, I did have we used to have a 2-person team on this channel. He's not in the picture anymore. He didn't want to be a part of this anymore. Disappointing, because I thought he was good, but he didn't want to be a part of it anymore. And I don't know. I had to respect it. So yeah, it's just me moving forward. You have Brian Robinson. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're not playing McNichols against Baltimore. He's going to get in there and he's going to get involved, but it's probably going to be gross. Jerome Ford or Rome Odunze in half PPR. I'll say Ford for one more week. It's not a bad matchup against the Eagles. He didn't do great last week, but he did get involved. And I believe Foreman was on the injury report. He was removed from the injury report, so that's good news for Donta Foreman, not necessarily for Jerome Ford. It's a pretty good matchup by the numbers. It's not a terrible one, but he should lead the backfield for one more week. I'll take Ford in half PPR. If it was full PPR, I'd be a little bit more interested in Odunze. If it's half PPR, I'll take the running back. Drop Trace Sermon and or Quentin Johnston for Slayton, Polk, for any of these guys. Hang on to Trace Sermon. Because now it's his second straight week starting, and Taylor's dealing with a high ankle sprain. So I'm willing to wait on Sermon. He might have a couple more viable weeks. I would not drop him. You can drop Quentin Johnston for Darius Slayton if you need a guy this week. And yes, I would play in full PPR. I would play Slayton over Christian Kirk. Yes. Yeah. Drop Quentin Johnston. He's going to get Patrick Surtain this week. So if you really want to get Quentin Johnston back, you should be able to after this week. He's going to have a brutal matchup going up against Surtain tomorrow. So you can drop him. I would pick up Slayton, and I would play Slayton over Christian Kirk. Yes. Yes. Yep. Yeah. Keep Trey Sermon, drop Quentin Johnston, pick up Darius Slayton, play Darius Slayton over Christian Kirk. Hey, I got a super from Brent. Thank you so much, Brent. Appreciate that. Appreciate the support. Very kind of you. 12 man, half PPR, 3 wide receivers in a flex. Godwin, Higgins, Chase, Brian Thomas, Adams. Running backs are Gibbs, Hunt, Dowdle, Brooks. I like this team. You got offered Hill, Taylor, and Dobbins. Is that Dobbins that you meant to type? For Adams, Higgins, and Godwin? No. No. Because Taylor's hurt. Taylor's got a high ankle sprain, and he might be fine in a month, or maybe he's not. He's a question mark right now, and you're giving up like the core of your wide receiver group. You'd be left with, or is that, or wait, what Hill is that? Is that Tyreek Hill? I think I defaulted to Justice Hill because he's, I guess, I don't know, not on his bye week this week, and Tyreek has kind of like faded without Tua. Is that Tyreek Hill? That makes this a little bit more interesting. You already have Gibbs, you have Hunt, you have Dowdle, who's been a 0 RB winner, and you have Brooks, who could come back in the next couple of weeks. You'd be adding Taylor. You wouldn't be getting rid of any running backs. The problem is that if everybody's healthy, you'd have your choice of Taylor, Gibbs, Dobbins, Dowdle every week, could be a difficult decision. I mean, you'd be firing up Gibbs and you'd be firing up Taylor every week, no question about it. The question is, would that work out every single week? Meanwhile, you'd be moving forward with Tyreek Hill, assuming Tua comes back, which we think he will. You'd have Tyreek, you'd have Chase, and you'd have Brian Thomas, possibly with very little wide receiver depth behind those guys. I'm intrigued. I am. And the fact that you're in 4-1 does put you in a position to potentially make this move and be okay. My concern here is you're acquiring too many pieces at running back, which you always want to acquire more running back help. But in this particular situation, you're acquiring a guy who's hurt now with a high ankle sprain, and Dobbins, who would probably start over Hunt and Dowdle and Brooks, but that's not a guarantee every week. And you'd be giving up some really strong wide receiver depth to bring in Tyreek Hill, who is a stud and the best player in this trade when Tua is healthy. Right now, that's a question mark. I think I would wait. There's Godwin has been awesome this year. Higgins is hitting his stride. Adams, yeah, okay, you could unload him and maybe feel a little bit better about that, but you'd be selling him at his lowest point. His value is going to go up when he gets traded, even if it's to a situation where maybe he's the team's wide receiver 2. At least he'll be active. And when I say he's the team's wide receiver 2, there's only like one scenario where that's the case, and it's maybe the Jets. He's the team's wide receiver 1 if he gets traded to the Saints or the Steelers or anywhere else. That's a dark horse. The Ravens. Who knows? The Chiefs. That's not going to happen. They're not going to trade him to the Chiefs. No shot. But you get my point. I would wait. Because you're giving up your whole wide receiver core, and you're adding a lot of running back help, which is always great, but you already have good running back options. And Taylor's hurt. Taylor's dealing with a high ankle sprain. I would wait. I would hold. And then my last thought here, and thank you again, Brett, for the super, much appreciated. You're 4-1. So on one hand, yeah, you're looking toward the playoffs, but on the other hand, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I see a team that very much is not broke. I see a team that very much is solid. I think I would wait. I would hold. I would not make this move. Not yet. I need to see some good news on Jonathan Taylor before I move forward on this because a high ankle sprain is way dicey. Is super dicey. Yeah, I would hold. I would keep your pieces. Breaking news. The Lions and running back David Montgomery have agreed on a 2-year, $18.25 million contract extension, according to Adam Schefter. $10.5 million guaranteed. Congrats to David Montgomery. Well earned for David Montgomery. We continue to fire him up as a low-end RB1. And this contract only supports that. Good for David Montgomery. Good for David Montgomery. Damn good player. Well earned, well deserved. Nice little 2-year contract extension from the Lions. 100% deserved. Brent, thank you again for the super. Very kind of you. Hopefully that helps. If you're jonesing to make this trade, I don't want to stop you from doing what you want to do, but I personally would not make this move. Not yet. I'd come back to this trade in like 10 days, a week and a half. Let's see what Jonathan Taylor's status is in a little bit of time here. Let's let him get healthy. And let's get some news on Tua as well. He's meeting with a specialist this week before I make this move. Because your guys aren't going to lose any value. If anything, they're going to gain value as well. Like Adams in particular, if he gets traded. So I would wait. But thank you for the super. Let's see. I have my spot in line. Pick 2. Jamo, Shaheed, Tolbert. I would sit Shaheed. Shaheed is awesome. Rashid Shaheed is the man. Big-time playmaker. Big-time deep threat. Proved he has an all-around game as well. Week 4, he had career highs in targets and catches. He's a damn good player. I need to see how he does with Spencer Rattler before I move forward with him. Give me Jamo, give me Tolbert. Give me Jamo, give me Tolbert. Nemesis agrees. Always encourage. If anybody has thoughts on anybody's questions, feel free to chime in. Let's help each other out. So, yeah, definitely appreciate the dialogue and the conversation. Full PPR start 1. Slayton or Shaheed? Slayton. Again, start Wan'Dale Robinson, start Darius Slayton. Give me Slayton against the Cincinnati Bengals. Their defense stinks. Shaheed is now catching passes from Spencer Rattler. I need to see that first. I need to see that for a week before I go back to Shaheed. Shaheed is Derek Carr's guy. Carr loves throwing the ball to Rashid Shaheed. Let's see if Spencer Rattler equally loves throwing the ball to Shaheed as much as Carr does. So I need to sit Shaheed for a week. I know it's tough. He's been awesome. I need to wait. Give me Slayton over Shaheed. And then your defense, you got the Colts against the Titans on the road. That's not bad. Will Levis is a turnover machine. The Falcons on the road against the Panthers. Not bad. And then the Bucks on the road against the Saints, Spencer Rattler. All good options. All good options. I tend not to like road teams, road defenses as much as home defenses. And all these teams are on the road, of course. I will say the Colts. Because they're playing Will Levis, and Spencer Rattler might be a turnover machine. First career start, could struggle. Will Levis has been struggling. And maybe he's fine coming off the bye week. Maybe he'll be okay coming off the bye week, an extra week of preparation. But he has just been bad. Will Levis has just been bad, turning the ball over at a super high rate. I'll take the Colts. They're not a great unit, but they are in a good spot. Do we start Zay Flowers or Brian Thomas? I like Brian Thomas, man. He's just freaking good. He's just good. Flowers is, Flowers is respectable. He's in a good matchup. He should be okay here. But he's up and down. It's a really good matchup for Zay Flowers. It's a really good matchup. It's not as good of a matchup for Brian Thomas. But Flowers, the problem with Flowers, here are his weekly finishes so far this year. This is at least in half PPR scoring. From weeks 1 to 5, in order, he was the wide receiver 40, the wide receiver 11, the wide receiver 73, the wide receiver 96. He had one catch week 4, and then last week he bounced back nicely. He was the wide receiver 15 against your Cincinnati Bengals, or the Cincinnati Bengals. Everyone's favorite defense. They stink. It's a damn good matchup for Flowers, but he's been all over the place. Brian Thomas has been the wide receiver 18, the wide receiver 27, the wide receiver 47, the wide receiver 7, the wide receiver 9. Brian Thomas has been more consistent, and his ceiling has been better than Zay Flowers. I'm going Brian Thomas even in a bad matchup. Less than ideal matchup in London. Not great, but Brian Thomas is a stud. Brian Thomas is a stud. I'm starting Brian Thomas. I'm going to turn a light on real quick. I'm starting to lose some daylight over here. I don't know if that helped at all, but it was starting to get a little dark in here. Give me Brian Thomas. Zay Flowers is in a great spot, but Brian Thomas is awesome. Brian Thomas is awesome. You are starting Godwin and Mooney. Do you flex Higgins or Deontay Johnson? I don't think you're going to like my answer based on what you currently have. I would sit Mooney and play all three of those other wide receivers. Darnell Mooney has been he has bounced back nicely this year. He is a good football player. Those other three guys are better. Godwin is better. Deontay is better. Higgins is better. And I like Darnell Mooney. I'll show you how many shares of him I have in best ball. I think I have him in like 22 or 23% of my leagues, which is high exposure. By the way, don't get me started talking about best ball. I'll talk your ear off all damn day. I would sit Mooney and I would play those other three wide receivers. Leave Godwin in. Play Higgins. Play Deontay. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. I would sit Mooney. It's a great matchup. It's a great matchup against Carolina for sure. And he can absolutely come through. But I would play those other three wide receivers ahead of him. I would play Godwin, Higgins, Deontay. Recent trades. You gave Hunt, you gave Dobbins, you gave Metcalf and Sermon for Henry, Pickens, and Jalen Wright. I'm good with that. You gave up good depth, but you got a top 5 running back rest of season in Henry, so I'm good with that. I'm fine with moving from Metcalf to Pickens, and I'm fine with picking up Jalen Wright as your running back depth. Sermon only has short-term value, assuming Taylor comes back eventually. I like Dobbins, I like Hunt, but I'd rather have Henry. Yeah, I like that trade. And then you gave Fields, Rashad White for Mixon. I like that. Because Rashad White is losing value quickly. Mixon's arrow is pointing up because he's expected to return this week, and he's the bell cow. And you gave J-Mo and Ertz for Shakir and Brooks. Is that Brooks? Is that Jonathan Brooks? I like all those trades. I like all of those trades. Sorry that you started 1-4, but I think you did what you had to do to turn the ship around. Nicely done. I like all those moves. If you have Mixon and Bucky this week, you just acquired Mixon, so you probably want to play him, and I understand that. But in his first game back, he's maybe a little bit more volatile, even though I think he'll be fine. I would actually probably play Bucky, assuming Rachaad White is out tomorrow. Assuming Rachaad White is out tomorrow, I would play Bucky over Mixon, only because it's Mixon's first game back after missing a couple of games. I would play Bucky. I would play Bucky. I like all those trades, though, that you made. I don't know who your quarterback is having traded Fields, but I like all those moves. I like all those moves. I would have maybe wanted to, if you don't have an obvious option at quarterback, I would have maybe wanted to keep Fields because you have George Pickens, so you could stack that up. But to unload Rachaad White and pick up Mixon, then it's like, all right, yeah, fine. Give up Fields to finish that deal off. Yeah. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. J-Mo is maybe the one that I like giving up the least, but I like rolling the dice on Jonathan Brooks rest of season. Yeah, I think this is fine. I think this is fine. I think he did well. I think he did well. And you have Murray. Yeah, all right, cool. Nicely done. Good moves all the way around. What's up, David? Good to see you, sir. Always got to give a special shout out to my members. They're the ones who are helping to keep the lights on around here. Literally, just turn the lights on because I was my space was turning into a bat cave very quickly. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Kraft and Braylon Allen for Mixon. I don't know who your tight end is, but yes, I want to make that trade. If I'm acquiring Mixon, hell yeah. Let me pin David's question. Yes. I don't know who your tight end is, but to sell high on Kraft, Braylon Allen's a nice stash, but to get Joe Mixon, who is a bell cow when healthy, and he is healthy now, yeah. Yeah, I want Mixon. I want Mixon. You have McBride. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Trade Kraft and Braylon Allen for Joe Mixon. Yes. Yes. 100%. 100%. Do that deal. Do that deal. I am very on board with that. Very on board with that. Yeah. Good value, David, if you can pull that trade off. But good to see you. Thanks for popping in. Let me get through some more of these questions before this chat starts to freeze on me, because the last thing I need is to have more technical issues, and you guys don't need that either. Evan has a question about Daniel Jones. He has looked like Daniel Doofus more often in his career than not, but he's playing well right now. He's playing well. I don't know that he's still the Giants' long-term answer at quarterback, but it's who they're rocking with in 2024. I mean, they probably, I don't know where the Giants will be picking in the draft. They will have quarterback options available to them next year. Jalen Milroe, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Quinn Ewers. There's going to be options for teams at the top of the draft at quarterback next year. Cam Ward's looking good. I think Milroe struggled a little bit earlier today, but we saw his fantasy appeal. He can run around. Ewers is playing incredibly well. I missed the end of that Texas-Oklahoma game. Who won that? Who won the Red River rivalry? Texas obviously is they're top dog right now. Come on, ESPN. Tell me who won the Red River rivalry. Oh, Texas. Whoa, Texas smoked them. They ran away with it. Quinn Ewers, I know, made his return. Sorry, I'm getting off a little on 20 for 29, 200 passing yards, a touchdown. Not a huge game from Quinn Ewers, but first game back, didn't clearly need to do all that much. They won 34-3. So, yeah. I don't know. The Giants will have their options at quarterback in the draft if they are picking high enough and they want to go that direction. But yeah, Jones has been fine the past couple of weeks. He has his spurts, I guess. I don't know. Let's see. Is this just thoughts on the team question? Brees, Rashad, who are your other? Jonathan Brooks, Pollard, Bigsby. You've got decent depth options at running back, but obviously right now the vibes on Brees and Rashad White are not good. At least Brees is playing. Stroud and Jordan Love, I would try to trade one of those two to a quarterback-needy team. I never like to roster more than one quarterback in a one-quarterback league if I don't have to. So I'd maybe try to consider trading one of those two guys for a running back. Deontay, Malik Neighbors, when he's back from his concussion, he goes back to being elite. Brian Thomas, nice. Adams, when he comes back, your receivers are solid. Here's what I would do. I would try to trade either Stroud or Love along with Kyle Pitts to a team. If I would try to find a team in your league that needs a quarterback and a tight end, offer them either Stroud or Love plus Pitts and get one of their better running backs. Or ask for one of their better running backs. Try to boost your running back room. Because Brees has been falling short of expectations. Rashad White's arrow is trending down. Brooks's arrow is trending up as long as he can get back on the field soon. And Pollard has been solid, and Bigsby's arrow is trending up. But you could use some running back help. I would take one of your quarterbacks, and I would pair it with Kyle Pitts, and I would find somebody in your league who needs either a quarterback or a tight end, if not both, and try to get an RB2 from them. Get a running back. Get a running back. That's what I would do. Let's see. Wilson or Dell? Is this Garrett Wilson or Michael Wilson? I assume it's not Garrett Wilson because he's an obvious start. If it's Michael Wilson or Tank Dell, I'm inclined to give Tank Dell a shot without Nico Collins. If it's Michael Wilson or Tank Dell, I know he's been disappointing this year, but if it's Michael Wilson, then I'll take a shot on Tank Dell. No Nico. Should see expanded usage and opportunities tomorrow. I'll take Dell. If it's Garrett Wilson, then you already know. You're playing Garrett. Dak or Jordan Love tomorrow? That's tough. They're both in good spots, but I would slightly lean Dak. You can't run on Detroit, but you can throw on Detroit. And they are at home, the Cowboys are. So, he's got CD. He's got Jalen Tolbert. Rico Dowdle has proven that he can be a decent pass catcher. He's got Jake Ferguson. I'll take Dak. Pretty good matchup by the numbers. The Lions do give up a lot through the air. They give up more through the air than the Cardinals do, who is Love's opponent. I'll take Dak over Love. It's close. They're both really good options, but I'll take Dak. Man, my chat. I'm just gonna say something right now because my chat is freezing up a little bit. If my stream craps out again, I encourage you to, and I don't get to your question, I'm gonna stick around. Obviously, I hope my technical stuff holds up. But if you have a question that I do not get to, you can either do one of two things. Ask it in the form of a comment on this stream, and I will answer it. Or you can join my Discord if you're in Discord. Evergreen invite, second link in the description of this live stream and all the videos and streams on this channel. Hopefully my audio and everything holds up. But in the event that my connection craps out again, and I don't get to your question, ask it in the form of a comment on this stream, and I will get to it. Or you can join my Discord. But hopefully things hold up. Trade Jordan Mason, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Ladd McConkey for Devontae Adams? No. If you're getting the Mason side, then sure. But if you're trading away Jordan Mason plus other pieces for Devontae Adams, no. I know he got hurt. I know Mason got hurt on Thursday night, but he's still the 49ers RB1 as of right now. I don't think I would do that trade. And David, I see you got another question. Again, I do got to jump out of line for my members. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. You will get your questions answered in priority order. But I have my spot in light. Appreciate everybody's patience. You're trying to trade Brees, Olave, and Kincaid to get Jefferson and Taylor. You're probably not going to have six. Well, you could try. Taylor is hurt. Who are your other running backs, David? Because if you trade away Brees and you acquire Taylor, you're not going to be able to use Taylor this week, and you might not be able to use him for a couple more weeks. So who are your other running backs? And if this is the same league that you have, I think you said earlier that you have McBride, you have Bijan and Algier. So you would have to start both of those guys. You would have to start both Falcons, which is not super ideal. You'd rather start just Bijan. If this is the same league that you have McBride, then that's okay. And then obviously you're not going to have Jefferson for this week, but you will have him for the rest of the season because now he'll be past his bye week. That's tough because you're trading for a guy. If this trade goes through today, you're trading for a wide receiver that you can't use this week. Obviously, he's one of the best receivers in the league, so you like having him. And you'd be trading for an injured running back who we don't know when he's going to return. At least Brees is healthy. And you'd have to start Bijan and Tyler Algier, which is fine tomorrow against Carolina, but also there's no guarantee that they both perform. I don't know. I don't know if I want to acquire an injured running back. Could you get a lesser running back in the trade that is actually healthy, though? Which I know sounds crazy. The concern I just have is Taylor's health. That's just the concern that I have. Could you get Dobbins or Walker? I don't know if that's going to work, but could you get Dobbins or Walker instead of Taylor? At least they're healthy. Well, and Walker's a stud. I like Jonathan Taylor. He's obviously better than Dobbins and Kenneth Walker, but could you get one of those two? And if you could get Dobbins, obviously Walker would be a huge get. But if you can get one of those two instead of Taylor, then yes, I would pull the trigger. Because you're giving up 3 good pieces. I know Brees Hall has fallen short of expectations, but he still has high expectations rest of season. If you can get one of those other healthy running backs, then I'm good with it, David. Is it okay to drop Mostert for I'm going back up to the top, right above Brent's super. Thank you again, Brent. Is it okay to drop Mostert for Slayton this week? Yes, it's fine because you can play Slayton this week. Yes, you can start Darius Slayton this week, so I'm good with it. Yeah, you can play Darius Slayton this week. And should you trade Jonathan Taylor for Brian Thomas? Who are your other running backs? If you've got good running back options, then I'm okay with it. If your running back depth is thin, then I might want to hold on Taylor. But if you've got good running back options, then I am perfectly fine trading an injured running back for a good young wide receiver who is playing well. The chat is starting to stick a little bit, which was a technical issue that I ran into on the stream that broke. Again, if I don't get to your question, if the stream like happens to crap out, post it as a comment, and I will be sure to respond to it in text. Or you can join me in Discord. Second link in the description of this stream. Hopefully, no issues though. Start one, flex one. ETN, Chase Brown, Antonio Gibson. I don't see the scoring here. I think I would play. I guess I would play Chase Brown and Antonio Gibson. I mean, I can't believe this is where we're at with ETN. ETN has been solid, but now he's on the injury report, or he was on the injury report. He was removed from it, but he's dealing with a shoulder injury. Tank Bigsby could be usurping him. I guess I would play Chase Brown and Antonio Gibson. Because Brown, I feel like, is more likely to be the 1A than ETN is, and Gibson has the backfield to himself tomorrow. So I'll take Chase Brown and I'll take Antonio Gibson. 8-team Superflex PPR. You're playing McLaurin and DJ Moore. Makes sense. You need 2 flex. Well, you're playing Bijan for sure. You have to against Carolina. Brian Robinson is out, so you're not playing him. I would play. If Bijan is a question for your flex, then I would play Bijan, and then I would probably play. Dobbins, actually, with no Gus Edwards until we know that Pickens has his full-time rollback. Yeah, your 2 flex are Bijan and Dobbins. Who are your starting running backs if Bijan is like the flex in flex like conversation here? I know it's 8 teams, so the rosters are going to be a little bit more shrunk. So you might have some really good options already locked in, but you got to play Bijan. Bijan, then Dobbins, then Pickens in that order. I got the questions about the trades. I got David's questions. Come on, chat. Don't freeze on me here. Yes, and I got the question about is it okay to drop Mostert for Slayton? The answer is yes. You can drop Mostert for Slayton, and you can play Slayton. I'm going to unpin these messages. I don't know if that's doing anything to slow this down, but maybe it is. Who knows? Let's see. Flex, PPR flex, pick one. Kirk, Ridley, or Ladd McConkey. Ladd again gets the Broncos. Kirk gets the Bears. If Evan Engram is ruled out, I would play Kirk, but it sounds like Evan Engram is going to play, so I may actually try Ladd. I want to play Ridley, but he catches passes from Will Levis, who stinks. Or stinks right now, anyway. I guess he could still get better. He's a young player, but he's turning the ball over at a crazy rate, and he's looked kind of dumb doing it at times. I'll play Ladd. He's going to avoid Patrick Surtain, so the matchup isn't as tough for him. And in full PPR, he should be fine. I would play Kirk if Engram is out of the London game, but if Engram is active, then I would play Ladd. Who would I start between Jerome Ford and Tank Bigsby? I will play Ford because Chubb is not going to play this week. Give me Ford for one more week. Bigsby has the Bears. That's a slightly tougher matchup by the numbers. Ford has the Eagles. That's not as bad of a matchup, even though the Eagles are coming off their bye week. I'll say Ford. Arrow's pointing straight up on Tank Bigsby, but Travis Etienne is going to remain in the mix tomorrow now that we know that he's off the injury report. What do I suggest you do to improve Jaden Daniels? So nothing at quarterback. Bigsby, Chase Brown, Metcalf, Flowers, Myers, McConkey, Ferguson. You're good at quarterback and tight end. Taylor hurt. Rashad White hurt and underperforming. Braylon Allen solid. Braylon Allen, Trey Benson, good stashes. Juju is okay. Puka hurt. Coleman Kraft. You could use some running back help. You could use some running back help. I would trade Tucker Kraft because you have Ferguson. Well, Ferguson's going to go on bye this coming week. Or when's the Packers bye? It's not next week. Here's what I would do. I would wait to do anything this week because you can play Kraft next week when Ferguson is on bye. But once you get past that and you can just fire up Ferguson rest of season, I would take Tucker Kraft and then I would take an ancillary option, whether it's Trey Benson or Lab McConkey, and I would try to upgrade at running back. Find a tight end needy team. And you could even trade Kraft this week and then just stream a tight end next week for Ferguson's bye. But I don't want to roster two tight ends if I don't have to. Ferguson should be your weekly starter. And Kraft is a guy that you could sell super high on right now and get a solid running back in return. I would dangle Tucker Kraft and then maybe a guy like Ladd or a guy like Braylon Allen or Trey Benson and try to get an upgrade at running back. Find a team in your league that needs a tight end. Find a team in your league that needs a tight end and see if they want Tucker Kraft, see what running backs they have, and go from there. That's what I would do. Start two. Olave, is that Deontay Johnson and Darnell Mooney? I'll take a chance on Mooney catches passes from Kirk Cousins. Chris Olave catches passes from Spencer Rattler. I want to believe you can keep firing Olave up. And it's a really good matchup. But I guess with enough questions about Spencer Rattler and Mooney is a solid enough pivot for 1 week. I don't really want to sit Chris Olave, but I guess my suggestions are Johnson and Mooney. I'll say Johnson and Mooney, although I don't want to totally give up on Olave. I think the backup quarterback will actually be good for Olave's usage. The question will be how effective is Spencer Rattler in his first career start? Let's see. Chuba or Josh Jacobs? I like Josh Jacobs, but you might have to go Chuba. Let me see here. I'm looking. Chuba recently. Chuba's been an RB1 3 weeks in a row. Jacobs has been... he's an RB1 last week, but he hasn't been an... Chuba. I want to play Josh Jacobs at home against the Cardinals. That's a good matchup, but Chuba's earned it. He's been an RB1, a strong RB1 3 weeks in a row. I'll say Chuba. I'll say Chuba. Again, the chat is freezing a little bit. I'm hoping I'm not having any tech issues. If I don't get to your question in the case of a potential tech issue, leave it in the form of a comment, like repost it as a comment on here, and I will respond to it. Hopefully there's no issues though. But I am having like a little bit of a lag here, which was the same issue that I had when my first stream crapped out. Apologies. This is moving a little slowly for me. I might have to move to a new stream.